You've recently had a quadruple heart bypass. Every cricket fan like me was pretty shocked to hear that and thrilled to see that you've come through it and looking well. How are you health-wise?
A bit fragile and a bit short of energy. That's the problem. My mind is sharp and I can speak okay. I did the last test match for the first time. Admittedly, I didn't do all day. I was getting tired late on in the afternoon, so I left at 5 o'clock. But they say it'll be quite a few months before I get back to square one, where I'm full of beans. I mean, I go upstairs a couple of times and I'm puffing a bit, and that's natural, apparently, after the operation.
Yeah. It's one of those things, isn't it, I would imagine, when it's a massive operation, it probably makes you look at your life, you know, it's a big check, isn't it, in your life. Did you have that moment, Geoffrey, where you look back on your life and thought, well, if it is to end, and you always have to think that, I guess, with a major operation, what would have been the highlight for you of your life so far?
Having my daughter. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I spent too much time making centuries, and I should have had 2 more daughters like her. I didn't really want children. I had tunnel vision about batting, playing for Yorkshire in England. It was everything I wanted to do. Still is something I love very much. Cricket is everything to me, but once I got a daughter, she's been unbelievable.
See, that's such a surprising answer for those who probably don't know you. Well, they always imagine that cricket would be the be-all and end-all. But you have, you know, I've read all your books and they're great reads. And you have got a very different side to you. You've obviously made a lot of sacrifices for cricket. Alastair Cook this week was another opening batsman like you.
Well, we've had a lot of great players in the past. Jack Hobbs and W.G. Grace, we've had Len Hutton and so forth, opening batsmen. But he'll be remembered as a very fine player. He's kept fit over a very long period of time. His performances until the last year and a half have been exceptionally good. He's been consistent. He has all the attributes of an opening batsman that you need, which is patience, concentration, and sheer bloody mindedness. Now, I don't say that easily, but you do. Up against the new ball, the finest bowlers who are coming at you when they're fit and strong. You better be tough inside here. You've got to be mentally strong, but you've got to be tough here, and you've got to be, just bloody minded at times.
You talk about the fact that you had tunnel vision when you were playing at the height of your career, and perhaps other things in your life, you know, took a back seat. What is it about cricket, do you think, that makes it harder for professionals afterwards?
Well, I think for a long time, until the last 10 years or so, cricketers didn't earn very much money. And when they finished round about mid-late 30s, they were in the prime of their lives, you might say, but they'd nowhere to go, nothing to do. And that's why quite a lot of them, quite a number, a high proportion, committed suicide. Because suddenly, being in the limelight with quite a lot of adulation, not so much money, but then suddenly it stops. It's put just like that. There's no slowing down, carefully, getting used to it. It's just cut. You're finished. You're gone. No contract.
We now can't have Man of the Match awards. Has to be Player of the Match, we just discovered in this Test series. What is your view of the abandonment of Man of the Match?
Well, they're idiots, aren't they? They must have nothing else to do. I mean, when the women play, why can't it be, you know, the female of the match or the woman of the match and man of the match? I mean, if you've got nothing else to do but sit in an office and work out that every cricket club in the world has to change that from man of the match, well, you're a numpty.
Do you think the world's going a bit nuts, Geoffrey, generally?
Well, it is. I think you're making, particularly a lot of us men, frightened, nervous. And we shouldn't be nervous of women. It's natural.
Why
listen, if you want me to talk about it,
Yeah, go on.
I'm not at my age, but I'm going to be dead in a few years. But a lot of kids are. You know, I'd go away for 6 months. I was a 6 months, game. So in the winter, I go away and I come back to work with some girls I work with, get on fantastically with. And you go, hello, love, to give them a hug. And then you think, now, just a minute, hang on, I better not do that. And it was just a friendly sort of, you hug each other. You're not allowed to do that anymore.
Susanna?
I definitely prefer it when you don't hug me.
You see, she recoils away from me in horror, Geoffrey. Now, one of the things that I've had a real... One of the things I've really disliked in the last few years, as I know you're aware, was the way that Kevin Peterson's England career was wrecked at the age of 33. We were deprived of watching, to me, one of the great English batsmen of all time for 5 years, effectively. What did you make of the Peterson debate?
He played normal, beautiful, simplistic, technical batting, and then there's a switch goes on and he just takes the bowling apart. Now, that's wonderful theatre. It's what cricket should be about for a late middle order batsman. So he's done some things like that. But Piers, although Piers loves him, he has to be honest, he has been a clown to himself at times.
Yeah, I don't think he wouldn't
wasn't
dispute that, Geoffrey. What I think, though, is that all happened behind the scenes.
Shut up a minute.
Yeah.
Shut up a minute. It's a pity. It's a pity he wasn't captained by someone like Brian Close in his pomp.
I agree.
Not the old man you see who died, but the guy in his pomp at 6'2". Brian was straight and everything, but he ran the team. No messing, no arguing, 6'2". And if he'd have loved Kevin's batting because he could win matches, and he wanted him in the team, but when he stepped out of line, Brian would have called him in the toilet and he told him in no uncertain terms, cut it out, or he'd have got a bunch of fives.
Yeah.
There'd be no talking to, but a different kind of handling him. And it'd been the old-fashioned kind, and that probably would have been the best thing for Kevin. He'd have played better, and he'd have played longer for England, because he was, at times, a great player.
You've never been knighted, which I, as a England sporting fan...
And I've never been invited for tea.
Really? Well, if Theresa May, if you're watching this programme...
Never.
It is time the Prime Minister of his country invited Geoffrey Boycott to Downing Street for tea, and it's also time, in my view, that you were knighted for your services to cricket and England sport, because you have brought such pleasure to so many of us for so long, Geoffrey. And I'm launching the campaign officially this morning on Good Morning Britain.
Theresa's... I spoke to a husband about over a year ago, and I just said to him, I said, look, she's got the most difficult Prime Minister's job since Winston Churchill in the war. He said, why is that, Geoffrey? I says, because we split on Brexit 52-48. And whatever happens, whatever decision she makes, half the country is going to be against her and hate her, and that is very difficult. I said, what she should do is believe in democracy. That's what we all believe in. The vote has been made, now move on with it. Because really, all these people who want us to remain should remember, when the toss goes up on Friday with Joe Root and India, and Joe Root loses the toss, and Kohli says for India, we'll have a bat, Joe should say, well, hang on a minute, no, it's the best of three. And then when Joe loses the best of three, and Kohli wins that and says, we'll still have a bat, Joe should stand there and say, no, it's the best of five, isn't it? And that's what the Remainers are after. They don't believe in democracy anymore. They just want to keep having a new vote until they get what they want. They're like a spoilt child in the playground, where in the old days the teacher would have given them a smack.
Geoffrey, can you come on every morning? Honestly, I miss this kind of straight talking in this country. We'd like to have you as a regular guest, Geoffrey.
Well, I'll come on.
Off the long run.
I'll come on again, only if I have my breakfast with Susanna.